What's the deal, family? Welcome back to Sips of Success podcast. I'm Cameron. This is my beautiful wife, Erin. What's going on, babe?
Hello there. What are we sipping on?
We are sipping on Gimlets. Gimlet is just an easy cocktail.
Odie.
It's gin, lime, and simple syrup if you want it.
Cheers. Yum. Okay.
That was refreshing.
This or that. It's a spicy one.
What's this?
Would you rather have no sex for a whole year or gain 150 pounds?
Yeah, I just broke the scale. I'd be 300 tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Babe.
What?
You would gain 150 pounds?
We married?
Yeah.
I'm gonna still get some. You know what I'm saying? A whole year? Well, I might as well sleep downstairs.
Babe.
What?
You would gain 100 and you would put your health at risk.
That is putting my health at risk. That is putting my health at risk.
Yeah, I would take the no sex. It would be hard, but
It's just like
I couldn't gain I'm too small.
No,
I'm going to look horrible.
right. And
You're not even going to want to have sex with me.
I was about to say that. In all seriousness, 150, you're not gonna want to have sex. I mean, you might, but that can't be healthy. But like, what do we do for a year though?
I don't know.
Like, just look at each other.
Mm-hmm.
We've already done that before.
I know. That's why I would pick that again, though, because we've done that before.
That's not the same, though.
I know.
This is two horrible
I've never
selections.
gained 150 pounds, and I don't think I ever want to.
Yeah, me either. I'm just saying, though, like, both of these are terrible.
They're always going to be terrible options. That's the whole point.
It ain't got to be this bad, though. Like, these are both health risk.
At least with the no sex, like, you can still be intimate with each other, just not sex.
So is this the definition that we used to think it was, or like what are we saying here?
Like, you can't have sexual intercourse.
Okay.
Or oral sex. So.
Anyway, what are we talking about today? Because that was not good.
We are talking about what you tell me. I introduced the last two podcasts. I've been stepping up to the plate. It's your turn.
All right, since you want to bring this terrible this or that, that's a health risk either way it goes. Do you think that marriage counseling is necessary?
Pre-marital counseling.
Yeah, premarital counseling.
Because marriage counseling and
that's
premarital
the
are two different things.
Premarital counseling. Do you think that is do you think that's necessary?
No.
Why?
I think we should first preface this with, quite obviously, if you feel like premarital counseling is something that you are led or should do, then do it. I'm not saying that it hurts.
Right.
I don't think that premarital counseling or any type of counseling could necessarily hurt your relationship.
Right.
But do I think it is necessary? No. I don't think it's necessary in cultivating a strong, positive marriage. And that is because, for one, I don't know any married couples who are like, oh yeah, I learned this in premarital counseling. This really helped us. Or, you know, like, I don't know anybody who refers back to premarital counseling as something that is now a extremely helpful tool in their day-to-day lives.
Right.
And there could be people who,
I
know there's going to be somebody who comments and it's like, I learned in premarital counseling, which is fine. Great. I'm so happy for you. However, I just don't know anyone who constantly is going back to that experience because, for one, I think you're already in la la land. Like, you're approaching counseling because you think you're supposed to have it. And you're already like so excited to get married. You're so excited about being with your partner, and you're just kind of hearing what they're saying, and you haven't actually experienced the things yet. You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard to counsel something that has not yet happened. Yeah. And the second thing is because I feel like everybody's marriage is so different. Like, most of the time, people who are orchestrating premarital counseling are pastors and their wives. And it's just like, they're not counselors. They're pastors, you know? So it's like, I don't know. I just don't I would have to be very, very confident that the people that we chose to be our premarital counselors were not going to project their marriage and their experiences onto us. And that was kind of outside of us getting married during the pandemic. That was kind of something that we talked about.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't think it's necessary. There is no one size fits all. Like, yeah, there's not one size that fits all cap for marriage. I think what you said, I agree with what you said. Like, pastors are pastors, and typically for us, it would have been a pastor and maybe his wife, or a pastor of a church somewhere, like whoever's appointed to
that
marriage counseling.
Yeah.
Also, yes, if you do it, that is also great. We're not saying that it's not.
That it's not helpful.
That is not helpful.
Yeah.
For me though, as someone who is as the leader in our household, and before that was going to be the future leader in our household, I had told Aaron that I just didn't feel though it was necessary. I didn't feel it was necessary because, also agreeing with what you said, I don't know anyone that's like refers back to marriage counseling,
premarital counseling,
and then two, I don't know how, like, the stuff that I've heard others, like, I ask questions all the time, like people who have done it. It just seems like everything is just like a general situation, and again, that goes back to it doesn't fit every marriage. Like, I get it. Like, I feel like from what I heard, I don't know if someone could have had a very great premarital counseling experience where it wasn't the general I guess whatever they read from a booklet or whatever, I don't know, or whatever homework, I don't know. So if it's out there, I would be glad to hear like who that person is. But I also don't know anybody who was just like, yeah, this helped immediately, or this helped 10 years from now.
Right.
Like, no one ever goes back and says, yeah, I remember that Reverend Doctor,
that one exercise we did that one worked. Time. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think it's necessary, just because like I haven't heard of any examples of it working.
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that it doesn't work. I'm just saying that I haven't heard. Even before we were getting married, I had told you, I was like, I don't even get why this would be necessary.
It just seems like something that you cross off of the list. Like, it's like something you're supposed to do. So like you think you're supposed to do.
I think because you're told to do it. Yeah.
That you think that's just, the thing to do.
Right.
I personally have always thought that before you even get engaged, like if you feel that you need counseling, I personally feel like that needs to happen before you even get engaged. Before you choose this person. Yeah. And I think it's odd that people look at couples when they're dating and be like, y'all need counseling already? Like, y'all ain't even married yet. Like, to me, I think a lot of people look at that as a red flag. If a couple chooses to get some type of counseling, even if they have a healthy relationship and they just feel like there are some pieces missing, or there are some communication barriers or whatever. Like,
you saying they're already engaged?
No, they're just dating.
Oh, okay,
I feel like that's not a bad thing. If
I
you want to go,
that's a better idea than committing and then having to go to this
premarital counseling, because it's like, if you've made the decision to be with this person, I feel like it would be very difficult to go through premarital counseling and be like, actually, no, I'm not gonna marry this person.
Right.
Because you already know, like, we're getting married.
Right.
Whereas if you're dating someone and there are red flags or some things that you want help navigating with a counselor, like, you don't feel the pressure or the excitement or have the clouded judgment of we about to get married anyway.
Right.
So when we were dating, when we got engaged, actually, we were like, we got engaged, and then right after we got engaged,
like 2 months after
the pandemic happened. Yeah. So we weren't even like, and then we were building our house, and just life was lifing. Yeah. So we actually, before that all happened, though, when we first got engaged before the pandemic, we were like, how about we sit down with some of our favorite couples and do dinner with them and just talk to them about marriage and, marriage, basically. Yeah. And that was like going to be our version of premarital counseling. Yep. And I feel like that made sense for us because we do have couples in our lives that we like. And I think that there is something that can be taken from all of them. Whereas I wouldn't say that I know anyone with a perfect marriage or even a marriage that exactly represents the type of marriage that we necessarily have. However, like, we can still pull from them. You know what I mean? So I thought that would have been like a cool experience, but we never ended up doing it.
Yeah, I think we were real excited about like the idea that we had come up with, because it kind of, instead of going to get counseled on a decision we had already made, it was kind of like, oh, let's just kind of go pick their brains. And I think the idea really stemmed from the fact that we already kept having these conversations from stuff we learned from other people already. Mm-hmm. I think that would have been better for us. It would have been a better option to just go sit down with some people who we've been inspired by, to kind of understand like how marriage is for them. Not to necessarily receive telling us what we should do, but just a conversation like, we were inspired by what we see, what you guys display. Yeah. We feel as though you guys could provide wise counsel
or insight.
Yeah, but I'm just using counsel for lack of better terms. But like, just some wisdom to encourage that our decision to go forward with this marriage is right. Yeah. So that we can continue to have conversations for the rest of our lives that strengthens our relationship, right? Because I think once you get married, once you propose, at that point, I don't see how you still have anything to work on. Yeah. Like that is, going toward marriage. Mm-hmm. I feel like once you propose, then you should be able to get married that same day. That's how I felt. Yeah. Like, we did the work before. Yeah. Like, whatever kinks we felt like we need to get out, like, we were in a stride. It wasn't like dang, I'm still trying to figure this out. I'm still trying to figure that out. I still don't like how she do this. I still don't like how he do that.
But I'm willing to.
But no. Yeah. Like, that'd be the problem to me. Like, I just don't understand that. So.
And I feel like if that's where you are and you're dating, that's when you need to get that's when you need counseling. Yeah. If you're like, I feel like this is my person. However, there's this like 10% gap that we just can't seem to close. Like, we need the tools and help to be able to get there, for me to feel comfortable making that decision. And I think that that's fair. I just kind of feel like premarital counseling is like, okay, well then what happens after that? Like, where are they after you get married in 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years?
I feel like they take you on this journey up until your wedding date. That's like how it seems. And I feel like they get up there and they have, this sounds so bad, but this is how I take it. Like, whoever is marrying you gets to get up there before you all.
Well, it's not always the person who
it's not always, but I'm just saying, and for this example. Yeah. A lot of times they get up there and they say, I got to know this couple over the last year. You didn't know them before? Yeah. Like, even with going to, like, therapy, I get it. Like, I was listening to some podcast, but this one of the guys was like, I'm so thankful that you admitted to the fact that you went through a few of them, because like it may not be right on the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes some of us go to marriage counselor. That marriage counselor may not be right for you on the first try.
Yeah.
But we end up sticking to one because we think it's just it's kind of like you said, checking off the list.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how I viewed it when, you know, hearing that prior to us getting engaged, like I knew that was going to be a thing. But I also asked you way before we engaged. I'm like, I asked you what was your, you know, views on premarital counseling, you know, not to say that I would never do it. I just want to know where you were. And luckily, because we have been aligned, you said what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah.
Which also further proves that, you know what, one thing after another was proven like, nah, yeah, I picked the right one.
Yeah.
Like after all the conversations we had, those ending like verifications that says yes to her was all I needed.
Yeah.
And the rest is just like conversation, communication, and, you know.
We also read a couple books. I feel like we talk about those all the time, but like we read the Love Languages book, which I feel like is universal at this point. And then we read His Needs, Her Needs, and I feel like that was a good
book,
kind of counseling book for us, because it was, I'm just not one to think that you have to get everything from someone directly in person. Like, I feel like that book kind of counseled us and helped us have conversations that we otherwise may not have had in the way that we had them. And it just opened the door for us to talk about things that weren't easy to talk about. And I just think that even with business, like a lot of people ask me like, who's your mentor? Like, or who's your, you know, who are you inspired by or whatever? Or who do you talk to? Like, and I'm just like, I listen to people's podcasts. I read books. Like I don't need to call Myleik Teal or Emma Greed to like get insight from them. They share their insight with the world. I do feel like
you learn a lot from people's lives. That can either make you think or
it's just what you do with it, regardless of how you receive the information. Yeah, where you receive it or how you receive it. It's just like you still have to process it and do the work on your own.
Exactly.
And with premarital counseling, I feel like my take on it is get it if you need it. But like, and some people are like, well, you don't know if you need it because, you know, you don't really know if you need it until you get in there, and like it's very enlightening, basically. Right. Like you can think that you have this perfect relationship. And I'm not even saying that our relationship is perfect or that had we gone to premarital counseling that we would have just gained absolutely nothing from it. I don't think that to be true either.
Yeah, no.
I
feel like you can gain anything.
If we went, then we probably would have had a decent experience.
I think however, we would have done what we normally do. Talked about like did you hear what he said in this? Like
but it's like when real life hits and like you are hit with these, you know, whatever challenges or situations in your marriage that 9 times out of 10 were not catered and directly, you know, positioned in premarital counseling for you to talk through those exact situations.
Yeah.
It's hard to think about tools that you learned before this wedding day, all this wedding stress you've had, like all of these, you know, like all of these other things that are occupying your mind, your honeymoon prepping and all of this stuff. And it's just like, I feel like premarital counseling, it's like one of those things where it's like, okay, like you're like, I feel like it's kind of just like one of those things where if you get married and things hit the fan, you gonna sign up for counseling again. You're not drawing back to
or that pamphlet that they give you. Like, are
like
you going to look in there? Like, because I feel like
you're going to,
I feel like if
take
really
action now.
Yeah. I think I still sit on the fact that I've just never heard one person, not one, out of all the people we know that's been married, some that has been divorced, not together, whatever. Like all the people we know, not one of them folks ever have said that they've gone back to what they learned at premarital counseling.
Yeah, they say it's good in the moment when they're taking it. They're like, oh yeah, the sessions are good. And then that's it. Like, I don't ever hear
But it's
anything
just
else
like,
about it.
I feel like it's just like, yeah, it's good. Like, it's cool. You know?
Yeah.
It's never like, oh my God, this is just like eye opening.
Yeah.
Like, even if we had all these conversations, like, I didn't know that this was a possibility or that, or whatever the case may be. And I'm also, I think, one of these days I'll try to get our pastor's, insight on that and see what and maybe we get him on here and,
I would love
go
that.
from there. Like, cause it's easy to say what we wouldn't do, but it's also, I also would respect the person who does provide it. Like,
to be like, no, y'all really should.
But no, not even to tell, not tell us what we should, but kind of, I would like to know what is different than how it's viewed.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we didn't feel like it was necessary because of how we viewed it.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it just wasn't good or that it couldn't be good or helpful, because I don't think that we think that.
Yeah.
I think that how we viewed it just seemed like, well, what would be the point?
Yeah.
You know?
For us.
Yeah. And I would like to, I'm gonna hit him up and just,
Yeah. I'm sure he would have a lot to say about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, would you be open to marriage counseling? Like, if we needed it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we'll never.
Do you think counseling should be preventative, or like do you think that people should, kind of like therapy, you know, like people say you shouldn't wait until you need therapy to start therapy kind of thing, like where it's like you always could use inner work, basically. I feel like that's the argument. Do you think the same thing applies for marriage counseling? Kind of like how we go to the chiropractor, even though there's nothing wrong with us. Right. We go to just get adjusted so that we can feel like our best selves.
I mean, I get what you're saying. I understand preventative care or whatever. I don't know, because I don't know nobody who's like, oh yeah, like, it's even like you watch TV, right? You see marriage counseling on TV, and I know that's TV, but also I haven't heard anyone in real life go to marriage counseling. It's just been like this great thing either. Mm-hmm. So I don't have an opinion on it, honestly. Okay. It's kind of like one of those things, like, I feel like I think for us and definitely for me, I feel like I'm pretty aware of who we are. And I also think you're very good at, if something is slightly off, if you think it's off, you have not a worry like bringing it up, right? Like, so I feel like when people still maybe struggle with communicating or maybe dragging something out of their person, then a mediator might be necessary. Yeah. I just have never, not once, thought that we needed someone else to step in between the middle of us that we couldn't resolve on ourselves. Yeah. On our own, I mean. I agree. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I think maybe until then, if that ever happens, then I don't see the point. Yeah. And I've never been to therapy either, so I done had some bad times, but I don't know. I'm not against it, and I'm not saying I'm for it either. It's just I don't know. Yeah. I just don't. I don't know. I feel like I can listen to podcasts and people who I never met before, like some of the sport ones, and they've done therapy, and I like what they say. I love what they say. In fact, like I feel like it is very helpful. But at the same time, like the Pivot, for example, like those guys on there, they hold each other so accountable that they may have gone to therapy somewhere else, but I feel like the real work is there when your man's is like, nah, I'm there with you the whole way through. I'm gonna check you. I'm gonna ride with you. I'm gonna hug you. Whatever the case may be, like I feel like that's where it's really like drawn from for some of them. Yeah. In a lot of cases, I don't know. Yeah. I would be more prone to cultivating like a group like that before, I guess, therapy, because sometimes it got to be hard to trust somebody. It's like, dog, I'm about to tell this stranger basically that give them the worst, I guess the worst of the worst of your life. Yeah. And trust that they basically keep it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they have to keep it.
I mean, I know, I guess by law, but
Yeah.
shoot, if they wanted to and just said
No, they can get sued.
if that's what they want to do, but maybe it's worth it to them. I'm just being devil's advocate, right?
Yeah.
Like maybe it's worth it to them that, hey, I'm willing to lose out on all this money because this person is flat out wrong.
Mm-hmm.
No matter, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It could be no matter what you've done. That, you know what I'm saying? That's what I think about. Like, dang, I don't even know this person.
Yeah.
What? How am I supposed to trust you?
For some people, that's freeing for them because it's like, I don't know this person, so I'm glad I don't know. I'm glad this person doesn't know me in the way that the people around me do because it gives them more of an objective opinion on the situation.
But I feel like
for some people, I don't think that objectivity is, maybe for somebody like you, that's not as valuable as somebody who does know you and does understand your character and maybe some of the characteristics of the people around you to where they could help you assess it from your exact perspective. Right. You know what I mean? So I feel like you're a very self-regulated type of person, and when things are off, you kind of can get yourself back on track. And for some people, they need help with that regulation. Right. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. And even in marriage, like we have gotten to that point to where we can, get ourselves back to our stride. Yeah. But, I mean, I think it's whatever you prefer. Yeah. But it would be good to have Pastor Tim.
Yeah. I just feel like feel like our perspectives on a lot of things, people are just like,
yeah, we have okay, so when we were at church, and we can wrap with this, but like when we were at church, it was actually the pastor's pastor was like, this, I guess it was a story about a woman who cooked ham, and she always cut off a piece of the ham, and like her mom did it, and her grandma did it, and her grandma's mom did it. And so one day she was like, why are we cutting this piece of the ham off? And so the girl asked the grandma, like, why do we cut this piece of the ham off? And she was like, oh, no, it's no real reason. It's just because the pot was too small.
The pot that I had was too small. Yeah,
the pot I had was too small. So it wouldn't fit. So we always just cut that piece off so the whole ham could fit in there. Yeah. So you were like wasting something just because that's what you saw. And I would be like, I would tell Cameron, I'm like, I don't like feta cheese, or like, I don't like blah, blah, blah. And it's just because my mom didn't like feta cheese. Right. Not because I actually tried feta cheese. And it was just, the pastor was basically saying, like, question tradition. It's good to question things. It doesn't matter if the answer is what you expect or not. It's just like, ask the questions. It doesn't hurt. I feel like if you do ask the questions, and those answers you probably need for where you lost that in your own life can be answered. Yeah. And I get it. Everybody can't go back to their family or whatever the situations are to ask those questions. So in that case, I do understand. But in the event that you can, I think it's just simple. Like, if you're curious, if this is just like, this doesn't make sense, go ask. Yeah. Or try something different for yourself. Or put the bone in the pot and see what it do. And see what it do. See what it tastes like. Yeah. It might be the best part of the ham.
Your pot big enough.
Right.
Ending on that, in terms of pot, I feel like I just thought about this just now. Like, a lot of times our pot is as small as the people we have already learned from. When really we got this big old space that we decide we don't want to fill with all of our stuff that can blossom. Yeah. Like, we just stay in this little pot that was given to us instead of like that big old pot right there. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how, like, you bringing it back up, that's kind of how I'm like looking at it. Like, a lot of times we don't trust ourselves enough to stir our own pot. We kept using that same pot from back in 1945. Right. So that's a good pot, though. That's a good pot. That pot seasoned. That pot is seasoned, boy. But that's real, babe. I like that analogy. I think to me, that's kind of what I mean by being aware. It's just like I have the examples that I've had, even a primary example, everything I didn't agree with, and I can't really ask the questions because it's never a direct answer. It's not really an answer at all. So I've went out and said, okay, I'm gonna try to figure this out on my own.
Yeah. Or
And
I will ask the questions to other people that I trust.
yeah, and you know, I will make a wise decision from that. Have some decisions been wrong? Yeah. Have most been right? I would say yeah. I ain't done a lot. I ain't that risky, but I'm just saying, like, from what I've done, it's just like some stuff is not as crazy as you think.
Yeah.
So if you think everything is crazy, you're probably gonna make yourself crazy, which you would probably need a mediator or whatever. Like I'm not trying to make life harder for you as a husband. In turn, that's why I would hope we would never have to go to a marriage counseling.
Yeah.
And even like being in, I would rather be in marriage environments where we can all feed off of each other, where we can be in an environment where hopefully everybody is going home and you're having conversations with your spouse based on what we said, based on what they said.
Yeah.
Instead of like, dang, they doing good, or oof,
they ain't doing
so hot.
Yeah.
So, you know, instead of like just sitting in sorrow, kind of like get out there, and maybe I would prefer to get out in a group and kind of just continue to learn from people. I feel like that's been my best counselor. People.
Yeah.
Even people that someone may not think is the best person. I'm like, I learned something from that person.
You still got something from them. Yeah.
So.
Love that.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, yeah, hope y'all enjoyed this. Let us know what you think about marriage, premarital counseling, if you done it, why you did it.
And if it's been helpful throughout your marriage.
Your marriage
not
to this
like
point. Yeah.
You got married, like just got married and you're like, yes, it was so helpful. You've been married for a few years and you're like, yes, I still draw onto that insight.
Yeah, so let us know. We'll be happy to know your story on that. Why, like I said, why you've done it. Yeah, so.
Lovely. All right. Well,
this was great. If you rock with me, then you rock with us. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.